About one of the fears that you have in your life, something that you would actually be willing to share because you're going to be sharing this publicly, and compartmentalize that fear into one word. So take a few moments. We need one word to describe one fear in your life, and we're going to share these round robin style, starting with Rich.
Poverty. Embarrassment.
All right. We'll come back. Okay. Failure.
Selling. I said failure, disappointment.
Unpreparedness.
Anxiety.
I don't want to come up with another.
Failure.
No job is not really.
Despair.
Birds.
Economics. Senility. Disappointing.
Failure.
Anxiety.
Fear.
So you're going to take those one words, we're going to set them to the side for a few minutes and we'll come back to them. Right now I'm going to tell you a story about my childhood. So I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, smack dab in the middle of the desert. And we had every variety of desert critter either in our house or in our yard that you can imagine. Javelinas in our garbage cans, snakes in our dryer vent and on the stairs, scorpions, centipedes, you name it. We also had a desert trail that led directly from my house to my junior high that I walked every day to and from school in the sweltering heat, uphill both ways. Well, one day I was walking home from junior high and it was about at dusk, so I must have had some type of after-school event. And I'm walking along and something stopped me absolutely dead in my tracks. I was literally frozen with fear. It was not one, but a pack of coyotes. Now I know that coyote attacks on humans are fairly rare, but they have occurred. But to a 12-year-old girl walking alone by herself, encountering this pack of coyotes, I was flipping out. I was freaked out. Fortunately, I was able to take a moment, compose myself, catch my breath, and continue walking on the trail, and they ignored me and went on their merry little way. My ability to suppress that fear actually speaks to a rather interesting aspect of our physiology. So it goes something like this. Everything that we see, hear, feel, smell, and touch gets passed or gets translated into electric signals that travel through our body to our brain. And they enter our brain at the base near our spinal cord, and they actually have to travel all the way to the front or right behind our forehead in order to have us activate our rational thought. Now the path that they take is rather emotionally charged. Literally, on the path to the place where we can have rational thought, they pass through the limbic system. Does anybody know about the limbic system? That is where our what are produced. Call it out. What do we produce in our limbic system? Our emotions, right? So all of our emotion producing happens in the limbic system. So think about this. Everything that you are experiencing is going to pass through the emotional creation place before we can get to rational thinking. We are literally hardwired as human beings to give emotions the upper hand. So my ability in this coyote story that I told you to suppress my fear, it hit my emotions first, right? There was the fear, and move to the rational thought, is something that actually has tremendous importance for all of us in all areas of our lives. So let me ask you a little trivia question. We'll get back to the emotion piece in just a moment. What % of the time do you think people with the highest IQs outperform those with average IQs? Call out. What are your guesses? 30%. 30?
60.
60?
Less than 15.
10.
Less than 15, 10?
5%.
Okay, so it's 20% of the time people with the highest IQs will outperform those with average IQs. This led researchers to realize, okay, it's not just intelligence that is leading to good performance. There's something else at play here. And that something else at play is called emotional intelligence. Is anybody familiar with emotional intelligence? Anybody taken the emotional intelligence appraisal online that gives you a score of what your emotional intelligence is? Okay, we'll return to that in a little while. So, today's objective is to give you an introduction to emotional intelligence. And we're going to do that through looking at some of the skill areas that comprise emotional intelligence. By definition, emotional intelligence is your ability to recognize your own emotions and emotions in others and use that to kind of monitor your own behavior and to build relationships with others. Let me pause and see if anybody has any questions at this point before we do a little activity. Okay, everybody has in front of them some cards, a little bag. You have some blue cards, and the blue cards represent the 4 skill areas in emotional intelligence. You also have yellow cards. These represent the descriptions that match up with these blue cards. I would like for you to take about 45 seconds or so. You can work with a partner if there's someone that's conveniently located next to you to match up the blue skill areas with the yellow description. So you can literally kind of set them down on the table there and match them up. Any questions? All right, looks like we're busy at work and mainly doing this independently. Feel free to talk if you want to talk to somebody next to you, or if you're feeling like it's more independent, go for it. Looks like most of us are wrapping up, but take just a few more moments. Okay, so we'll come back together as a group. If you're not done, it's okay, because we're going to go through these together. 2 of these skill areas actually fall into a bucket of personal competence, and then 2 of them fall into more of the social competence. So let's go through each of those kind of areas within these competencies. So starting out, what's one that someone thinks falls into the personal competence? And then if you could tell us which skill area and the matching description that you picked.
Self-management.
Self-management. Can you tell us the description you picked?
Your ability to accurately perceive your emotions in the moment and understand your tendencies.
So that is a very good guess. And it is definitely falls into the personal competence. Did somebody have something different for that one, Viola?
Your ability to use your awareness of your emotions to direct your behavior positively?
Absolutely. So the self-management, the management is the key word there. Definitely falls into the self piece and the competence. And it is your ability to direct your own behavior. That's the self-management. What was the other one that you guys thought fell into the personal competence? We had self-management. What did we have, Freddie, for the other one?
Self-awareness.
Yes. And that was the first one, right? Your ability to kind of understand your emotions and recognize your patterns. What are your tendencies? So those are the 2 personal competence areas. Then we've got the social ones. Who can tell us one of the social ones and the description that you picked? I will call. Okay, yes, Jill, please.
Social awareness, your ability to accurately pick up on emotions in other people and understand what is really going on with them.
Absolutely. That awareness that you have towards being able to understand your own emotions is also something that we want to have with other people. Just by looking at them, you can kind of feel and understand what's going on with them. And then the last one, who can share that one out for us? Cameron.
Relationship management, your ability to use your awareness of your own emotions and those of others to manage interactions successfully.
Yes. And it's almost like all three of these are leading up to our ability to take what we understand about our own behavior and others to manage our relationships. Excellent. Those are the 4 skill areas. I want to share a couple little data bites for you to consider. One is that there's an enormous body of research behind this, and these skill areas account for about 58% of the performance in any job across any industry. And the second one, and perhaps most compelling, for every point that you can increase your emotional intelligence, that is equated to $1,300 increase in your pay. A lot of research behind this. What I'd like to do as we wrap up here, take the blue cards, take about 15 seconds, put them in order of how you perceive your highest competency down to the one you feel you are least competent in. Just to make a guess here, I'm going to give you some next steps that could help you if you want to learn more about this, but take just another 10 or 15 seconds, put those in order. You might want to put a star on the one you feel you are least competent in, and then you can flip them over, and there are strategies on the back to help you cultivate your skills in that particular area. 2 things as I leave you today. 1, if you would like to learn more and take the emotional intelligence appraisal, I have these little flyers. This comes from a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. So feel free to come get one of these little flyers. $15 in the Kindle store, and it gives you access to take that appraisal twice. Once to get a baseline reading, and then another time in like 6 months so you can see how your work in these areas are paying off. This is not easy stuff, guys. Trust me, I'm working on it. I caught myself yesterday. I know what my triggers are. So, the last thing, think back to that one word. You guys know now how your physiology is designed. That fear that you shared, definitely, right now, is likely going to take the upper hand when it comes to emotions versus rational thought. So I encourage you to do something to deal with that fear. Madame Toastmaster.